Hello, I'm Wendy Wilson, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Realizing Potential. Today I have with me in the studio a very, very busy author. I'm excited to hear about all that she's written in the past, and I'm sure she has some books in the not so distant future that are coming out. But what I've observed very quickly is that she's very committed to her craft, and excuses, they're just not even an option. So join me in welcoming Miss Victoria Brackins. How are you today?
Doing great. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for joining me this morning. It's been a manic Monday, as I was sharing with you a little bit earlier, but nonetheless, we're here to make this happen. Tell me a little bit about yourself and our viewers, a little bit about your academic background, and we'll segue into your business.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
And I am a native of Albany, educated right here in the Dougherty County school system.
Okay.
In 2000, I graduated from Westover High School and went on to study economics at Spelman in Atlanta, Georgia. Shortly after that, well, my junior year at Spelman, I discovered my calling and passion to teach, to be an educator, and not wanting to stop when I was probably about 95% done with my bachelor's degree in economics, and thinking frugally, not wanting to waste money or time. I was not going to change my major then, so I took as many education classes as possible in my last year at Spelman. And I returned home to work in the banking industry, back here in Albany, to work in the banking industry for a little under a year while pursuing teaching opportunities at that time. And almost a year mark working at the bank, an opportunity came up, and I started to pursue an alternative education program to receive certification in education. And that's actually shortly before that I released my first book, which was more substance than style. I pride myself now on substance and style because you have to have both to reach people. The first book I penned it most of my junior year, but I released it 2005 upon my return home. And after working in the banking industry, receiving that opportunity, I solidified a job here at a local high school, and I moved up and continued to work at the high school for about 13 years. All the time doing personal development, which is of course a must if you are going to be of any value or in greater value to the people that you serve. So personal development, ongoing, writing was an ongoing. And 2011, because of the years I had studied at, or the years that I was serving at the high school here, I saw a lot of young ladies in need, as well as around this community, in need of strong role models, in need of examples of what womanhood and success and leadership was about, as even on a smaller scale as leading oneself, how to present yourself in a way that was acceptable to society, as well as help you to maneuver throughout the avenues that are required for professionalism, relationships, education, and that type of thing. So when I saw that need, I penned my second title and doing more and more personal development, started pursuing a master's degree. And about a year and a half through Troy University, I did the master's degree in post-secondary education, moving towards what I do now, which is helping adults and young adults to discover and monetize their life work and add value to the world in such a great way that the demand will definitely be there, and you will also have intrinsic happiness and fulfillment, as well as those external benefits.
Okay, outstanding. I'm going to stop you there. You've given me so much information, and I want to make sure we cover all the areas that you presented. But I need you to backtrack a little bit, because there was something that happened, obviously, at Spelman, a pivotal point where I applaud you, because something sparked, obviously, and you said, I'm on the wrong track. And you decided to pursue your passion, which is education. So let's go back. What was that moment, or what was that experience that made you say, I need to take a different path?
Definitely. I always, at a young age, probably about 14, 15, I knew I was studying ministry and knew that I was to be a minister, but I did not know about the different facets or the different gifts. I did not know about the gift of teaching. All I knew was preaching, that type of thing, the way I was brought up. And at Spelman, because it is all about honing and developing women leaders. And of course, the servant leader is the highest esteemed leader. We are mandated, as other institutions are, to focus on leadership through service, and we're mandated to do service projects before we graduate. And while doing my service project at a local elementary school, probably about 4 or 5 blocks from the campus of Spelman, I was volunteering in the elementary school, and something just dawned on me that you have so much to give back. You have from the surrounding area, or the neighborhood that surrounded this school, and a lot of the students that I saw there, you could kind of see some of their background and where they came from.
Sure.
And I knew that I could relate to some of that, but I also had related to the power of education, how education is, as they say, is the great equalizer, how it is truly the difference between the haves and the have-nots.
Indeed.
And pursuing it, and imparting it is very vital to the leaders in the community. And at that point, I discovered that it's not about working on Wall Street, or it's not about going and pursuing the glamorous jobs, but what it is you are created and placed here to do, the gift that is inside of you that others will have the demand for.
I love the point that you make, that education is a great equalizer, and it most certainly is. One of the challenges that I've personally experienced is trying to bridge the gap. And so there is a continuous process for those who don't quite grasp that, or don't understand, or have not been exposed to the value that education brings. So as an educator, as an observer of those who have come from difficult or challenging backgrounds where the education piece was not entrenched in their whole development process, what are some of the tools that you used in helping to bridge that gap and helping them to understand and embrace the whole idea and the concept that education is a lifelong process, and that it opens up doors and opportunities for you?
Yes. I am an avid reader and avid believer in lifelong learning, that whether you are in a classroom pursuing a degree, or whether you are under the tutelage of a mentor, which is one aspect that I focus a lot on in my most recent title, Better Than Average. Mentorship is very vital and key, and a lot of people utilize mentors and they don't even realize that that's there. But you have to be very conscious about utilizing mentors, especially, as you said, when people have barriers as it relates to pursuing higher education financially, or just not having that infrastructure or that belief system at home. But one of my slogans that I have adopted that represents my business and what I do is that you can learn your way out of any situation and onto any destination. And because we live in the information age, it's just as accessible as typing up a few keys on the computer. And I tell my students all the time in my classroom, as well as from the stage, if you want to do it, you find someone who is doing it and doing it well, and you do what they did. And you can utilize mentors, whether it's someone as face-to-face, such as you and I are having this conversation, or whether they have materials, seminars that you can attend, books, audio tapes. You can go to Automobile University while you're driving back and forth, because it's proven that many Americans spend so much of the time in the car that they could actually obtain the information that is probably equal to an associate's degree in a year by just listening to audio. And the public library is free information you can get, and I always make the joke that many times people find a way to pay for free things. We turn the books back in late, but with the technology, you can put a reminder in your phone and have the books back on time and go and recheck them out or do whatever you need to do. They even have ebooks on now that you can, so it's so many. There's really no excuse, because as I tell all of my students, you learn more, you'll earn more, and it's not just about money, but you'll earn more value in the community that you serve, and there will be a demand for that information.
Well, tell your parents they're going to have to share you, because you certainly could have been my child. There's so many things that we share in common, and I hear some reoccurring themes that I often try to share with those that I have an opportunity to hopefully enlighten and educate. So the passion for reading is there, and the books. And one point that I constantly stress with young people, my own children in fact, is you have information is at your immediate access. And so we're tethered to these phones, and then have access to Wi-Fi. So when I'm always puzzled when a question is asked, and then you get that deer in the headlights look, and then I have to remind them there's no reason why you couldn't give me an answer. You have a cell phone, you have a tablet, you have whatever your tool, your instrument is, whatever device it is. So you're accessible to that information, and so access it. I'm curious. What was, tell me the first book that you wrote. What was the motivation behind that? And I would love to know, because I'm going to have to probably adopt you as a mentor myself. You obviously appear to be very organized and a very disciplined woman, so you'll have to share some of those secrets. So let's begin with your first book that you authored, and what's in the pipeline.
Okay, so the first book is this book, Closed Legs, Open Heart, and the inspiration came, I think it was prior to my senior or sophomore year at Spelman. I came home to give back, and of course was drafted to do a summer program and serve with the youth. Right. And just overhearing, we were on little trips, and I was instructing in a classroom setting, but overhearing conversations of the young ladies of how they had begun to partake in sexual intercourse, and how it was emotionally. You could tell the difference in some young ladies. Sure. Just even if they had not verbalized it, you could tell the difference in their demeanor, their self-esteem. And there was a burden placed on me when I started pondering it while the program was still in session, but when I went back to, I think, my junior year at Spelman, I felt the need to verbalize how important it is and how vital it is for young ladies to value themselves on every level, but especially on as it relates to sexual connection, being that there are a lot of other emotional ties and things that go with that. And if they're going to be whole beings to serve and to develop and to grow, they have to be intact on all levels. And so, as I told you earlier, it's more substance. It's very small, but I just wanted to get the message out there.
Great.
But after my personal development and going to certain programs and learning to publish and help others to publish, because I have a program now where I help people to write as well as publish their works when they have a book inside of them, because we all do. We all have gifts to share with the world. But I started to work more on substance and style, and that's one of my hallmarks as a classroom or stage teacher, that you have to have valuable content, but you have to present it in a way with style so that people will receive it. Because there's a difference between simple and easy. A lot of stuff is simple, but it's not easy for many people to apply it because of, just lack of discipline, and the lack of effective processes.
Sure.
And so this was the first book. It was very well received. I went on a tour when I came home that summer after publishing it, because people were really feeling the same need for our young ladies. Wonderful. And I was, once I did a story in the newspaper, calls were coming from left and right, and I had a tremendous time on my very first title.
Great.
And like I said, it was small in stature, I guess, but it was power packed, and it allowed me some great opportunity. The substance was definitely there.
Outstanding. Very good. So
Yes.
what was the next?
The next book was a Christian fiction novel, which is When the Choice Is My Own, and it's just a very great story, but with a lot of points, and once again with that substance and style. Many people have very valuable information to share, but we share it in a way that sometimes is condescending, or where we condemn or patronize people. But if you have the art of substance and style in your content, whether you're a classroom teacher or a presenter from the stage or a minister, you will definitely reach the people who you are supposed to reach, and that demand will be there for you.
Indeed.
My most recent title, which is the one that, Where is Her Mama? The Practical Advice and Wise Counsel for Our Daughters, is somewhat of a continuation of Closed Legs, Open Heart, but with more. I used a lot of the mentors, quotes from a lot of the mentors that I follow, such as Oprah and Maya Angelou and others, as well as a lot of information that I had gained as it relates to professionalism, as it relates to managing relationships, as it relates to just being a whole woman, so that you can serve and be served adequately and be whole throughout your life and grow from that background. The most recent, which is about a year and a half, well, about 2 years now, is about a year and a half, excuse me, Better Than Average Success Principles, things that I've learned along the way in my own personal development, my own professional development, just about life, how you pretty much can stand out head and shoulders above the rest by doing simple things that you can start doing today and put you in the top 2 to 5% of Americans just by utilizing mentors or just by making plans and goals rather than having dreams and wishes. That type of thing that many people, when they saw certain things I was being successful in, such as investing or traveling or writing and publishing, they wanted to know, how do you do this? How do you do? And I told them, really, it's not. It's very simple, but it's not easy. So I can give you the information and also show you how to discipline yourself to apply the information. And that's just a tool I wanted to share, tools that I wanted to share with the world.
Great. Well, I'm going to definitely need to get that one. What does an average day look like for you, or a week? How do you plan? How do you organize? Give some tips, particularly to our students, those that are entering college. It can be an overwhelming process, and those who have been working for the last 10 years, it can be an overwhelming process.
Okay, well, I definitely just adopted something from one of the people that I follow, not necessarily a mentor, but he owns one of the education personal development companies where I do a lot of investing in myself and growing in development, and it's worldwide. The company has educated millions of people throughout the world as it relates to personal development. But in one of his books called Pivot, he has the acronym MAP, a massive action plan. When you have a goal, you must have a massive action plan, starting with that day. What can I do today that's going to get me towards my goal? And so as it relates to getting things accomplished, first, you have to know what it is you want very specifically. Not that I want to make more money, because if you get a penny raise, you have made more money. But specifically, do I want to make $20,000 more this year than I did last year? Do I want to hit 6 figures versus 5? Having a specific, distinct goal, and then breaking it down into smaller goals. So if you say, well, by this time next year, I will have earned $20,000 more than I did last year. How will I do that? Okay, within a month, I need to do this. I need to contact my employer. I need to pursue maybe some consultation opportunities that I may be able to do. I need to pursue a part-time job. Within a month, what can I do? Back it up. What can I do this week? Let me put 5 things down this week. And starting small, give me one thing that I can do today that I'm going to write down on my list. Not only does it give you a direction, but success breeds success. When you achieve that one goal and you physically cross it off your list, it does something on the inside of you.
It does. So it's very gratifying. Yes.
Yes, it is. It is it's fuel within itself. So breaking it down to daily goals, weekly, monthly. Also having a vision. What does that look like? What literally does it look like? Does it look like me standing in front of a stage of 100,000 people when I'm used to standing in front of 1,000? So let me find a picture of that and put it somewhere where I can see it every day.
Great.
And my subconscious mind picks up on it and makes it happen, because a lot of people don't realize that in the law or believe in the law of attraction. What we tell ourselves, our mind will make it, our subconscious will make it happen in some means of another. And a lot of times we use that to the negative. When you wear a clean, crisp white shirt in your mind all day, I'm not going to waste anything, I'm not going to waste anything, I'm not, and your mind just hears waste anything. Yes. It doesn't pick up the negative. And guess what? By the end of the day, you have a nice spot on your nice white shirt. So a lot of times we use that to our disadvantage rather than to our advantage. So having that goal and a massive action plan to starting today, whenever you write the goal, what can I do today? What phone call can I make? What website can I visit? Just some small goal that I can do to move me in that direction.
Very intentional in your efforts. I love that's great advice. Great advice. So tell us, before I've got so many things before we wrap up. So I need to know a little bit about your business, and then we'll go into, I'm very curious as to who motivates you from the literary world as an author, who has been that one individual, or there might be a couple, that you often go back to and seek your own personal motivation.
Okay. Well, it's kind of going back to another question I did not quite answer, how my day starts off. And it's, as you said, very intentional, having time each day to, as I came up with these little cards, a tape session, think and pray each day, having quiet time in the morning just to set your intentions and to hear from, if you call it universe, God, the higher power, to hear from God as to what and how I will accomplish things today, how I will add value to the world. And through my company, Milk and Honey Success Education, and it is honey spelled Hunee, and that is for branding purposes, as well as the E's on the end stand for empowerment through education. So it's Milk and Honey Education. And what that is consulting, is mentoring. I have a 6-month mentoring program as far as writing and publishing a book. It's called Pages, from pain and passion to pages, because some people write because they have a particular pain or issue that they overcame, and they want to share that gift of how to overcome to the world. Some people write just for a particular purpose, and some because it's a passion there. And I allow that people those opportunities, because we all have a book acronym, book, blessing others by opening your knowledge. We all have a book, some experience, whether it's just how to transition from being a stay-at-home mom to a working mother, or how you climbed Mount Everest when you were 32, or everyone has a gift and information to share that will grow the world. And Milk and Honey Success Education is my gift to the world, the way that I provide substance and style, taking from people such as Oprah Winfrey. Of course, she has substance and style. That's why she's very phenomenal throughout the world. A very well-known and well-received personality. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is a must-have for anyone who wants to add great value to the world and benefit from it on all levels, because it is, and a lot of people see Think and Grow Rich and they think, oh, it's all about you pursuing money or a bigger paycheck.
Certainly not.
But wealth starts on the inside. And even though I'm pursuing certain levels of financial wealth, I've been wealthy a long time in my life by valuing relationships, valuing the gifts that are on the inside of me and how I share them with the world, the gift of gratitude and appreciating every day and every wonderful thing in it. So wealth starts on the inside, and when you have that on the inside, it will definitely manifest externally. So Napoleon Hill is a must read, and many of my mentors follow him, and they've read that book and Outwitting the Devil several times, and they have a good friend of mine bought me a leather-bound copy because I just set my intentions and said that I wanted one, and he picked up on it and got it for me. So that's the law of attraction at work again. But Tony Robbins, I follow him as well. Awesome. There are some things that each of these people may have that I'm not necessarily in line with, but for the bulk of it, I know how to, as a wise leader once told me, eat the meat and spit out the bones. I know how to take value, to glean, and these people are people that I highly respect. That's Oprah and Tony Robbins and Napoleon Hill.
Well, we're going to have you back. And I have to go back to something you just said. I have this ongoing conversation with a very dear friend, and he is oftentimes, because he's very committed to his beliefs, and I respect that, but he's also can be very dismissive, and I've observed this in other people as well, because you may not agree in terms of the same philosophies or approach. So again, that meat, you overlook that because there's that you don't align in your philosophies, and so that is so important. I'm now reflecting back on a statement that was made years ago when he still walked the earth, and it was Nelson Mandela, and he was criticized shortly after he was released from prison because he was having meetings with world leaders, and one of them was Muammar Gaddafi, and he was chastised for that. And he says, well, your enemies does not because you're an enemy with an individual does not necessarily make him my enemy.
Right.
That was so profound, and has always stuck with me. And so, as you said, there's always that wealth, there's some knowledge, there's something to be gained or gleaned from an individual, or a nugget of wisdom. I could go on and on. We may not be on the same path in terms of our interest or our mindsets or whatever our pursuits are, but there's something that I can still learn from you, and then vice versa. So we have to be careful not to just totally dismiss or ignore because we are not in agreement with the overall or the general, if you will. So I'm not sure, you don't have to tell me your age, I'm not asking it, but I am so impressed. I can tell you're young, but you
I'll take it.
But the information and the knowledge and the gift and the wisdom is ageless within. So I'm very proud that you had the bravery and the courage to tap into that. So many people have those and they feel them and they are bubbling within on a daily basis, but they ignore them because it requires taking a step. It requires some energy.
Yes.
It requires hearing some no. And so we just stay planted where we are and don't just make the decision or the intentional effort to move forward. So I am so impressed with what you've been able to accomplish in a short period of time. So you are obviously living life to the fullest and teaching others to do that. Yes. So there's another book in the pipeline before we wrap up?
Well, there are a few things I'm working on. Definitely one that people have probably been hearing about is The Flint Flows with Milk and Honey, and that's local success stories. People that are here, like I said, I've taught in a high school for 13 years, and I oftentimes share wisdom and nuggets of wisdom and have inspirational quotes and things throughout, but I want my students as well as anyone around to know that there are definitely very tangible, easily accessible, very close and local success stories that apply a lot of these same principles that I've heard from Napoleon Hill or from Bob Proctor or Les Brown or Oprah Winfrey, because they're principles, they're ageless, they're timeless, they're sexless. If you apply them, they will work.
Sure.
And so that is one of the titles. It's kind of on hold because of some of the people that I'm featuring in there, but the Flint Flows with Milk and Honey, that's one. And also I'm working on, so I just got the idea for this probably about a month or so ago, Well Made, and that's just pretty much how investing in education and pretty much the simple principles that will make you unstoppable professionally, make you unstoppable when it comes to whatever goal you're pursuing. It's very similar to Better Than Average, but probably another level up.
Gotcha. Those
are the things that I'm working on. And as you were saying about people who can be closed-minded as it relates to certain situations, there's a quote that I like to reference a lot, and it's from the best-selling book in the world, and it's from one of the authors, one of the wisest men in the world, King Solomon, and it speaks about he went by the vineyard of the man who was slothful and void of understanding, and he saw it all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof. And then I saw and I considered it well. I saw and I received instruction. And I like to tell everyone that I meet, whatever situation, whatever person you encounter, you can learn something from every person, every situation, whether it's what to do or what not to do. Okay, how not to do it or how to do it. So a lot of times when we dismiss people, we're dismissing gifts that has been sent to us in the form of instruction, in the form of let me observe this and take the wisdom from it and eat the meat and spit out the bones.
I love that. Everybody, as you said earlier, may not have mastered the style and substance. And certainly they cannot be decoupled. They work hand in glove, and so you are absolutely right. Know that you are always welcome back. I'm excited about your future, and so very thankful that our common friend made the recommendation. He said you absolutely have to have her on your show, and so I'm excited that today was the day. And again, look forward to your fluid educational process to the world and how that will impact others. So know that you're always welcome back on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Viewers, thank you so much for joining me for this edition of Realizing Potential. I'm Wendy Wilson, and I will see you next time.